Jim, taking a look at this one, 38-20. Justin Fields, 24 for 37, 216 yards, had a touchdown. Also had an interception, but not how the squad drew it up for game one.
Yeah, I think they looked like a team that weren't cohesive at the end of the day. And we said it even in the last preseason game that I called for the Chicago Bears. Both units hadn't been together as a unit all the way up until game one. All right, they had injuries at every level of their secondary. Jaquan Brisker had been out.
Yep.
You look at Tremaine Edmonds, he had been out. Defensive lineman DeMarcus Walker had been out. So defensively as a unit, they hadn't played together. And I think the same can be said on the offensive side of the ball. Chase Claypool missed a ton of training camp. You look at the how the offensive line was really, it's really disheveled, right? They had to move Cody White here to left guard, put Lucas Patrick at the right, and Gabe Davis, one of their free key agent signings from the Tennessee Titans, he hadn't been in there either. And I thought that's what it looked like. It looked like just an uncohesive group all throughout the entire ball game. They got to get this fixed pretty quickly. Those guys got to get together and really get on the same page.
Yeah, it's all about that team cohesion. It's like a dance every single step of the way. And when you have a limited preseason snaps as well as in practice, that really rears its ugly head. And that's exactly what we saw just a few minutes ago, Jim.
Yeah, well, I think even from the opening drive, even going forward on the fourth, they weren't on the same page in terms of the snap count. That's with you got to be a unit that's together. If you're going to do a hard count or on one or hold your water on three, they weren't even getting off the ball at the same time. You could see the numerous things that caused the issues where they were shooting themselves in the foot, where they've got to get on the same page. They've got to get together, get back to work, and really come out next week and really show that they're a cohesive unit. It doesn't happen overnight, Cole.
Yeah,
and I think you could already see they were making changes in that game with Johnson getting in there playing a little bit, get the running game pounded a little bit more. But, you could see from blocking, from the tackles to the guards to the interior to the center. I mean, let's be honest. Green Bay, which wasn't a dominant defense last year, they looked dominant today against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and Jim, one thing that we really noticed, it seemed as if it was a cascading effect. At halftime, it was 10-6, the Bears. They were thoroughly in the ball game, but second half, it was like, once something went wrong,
that's a good
more
point.
And more deflating.
Yeah, that's a good point. They had a shot of DJ Moore, really the Bears' prized possession here, in the trade from 1 to 9 for the Bears to acquire him. We thought he was going to be the cherry on top. That shot of him the second half, where he was just sitting back on the bench, and then they panned to Justin Fields, like both were just like, what is going on right now? So they've got to be the leaders of this group, of this football team, and be there picking guys up. It's got to start with them. It's got to start with Justin. And they kind of all have to look at themselves in the mirror a little bit. I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom. All these things can be fixed, but you just expected a lot more week one, right? You made all these moves in free agency. You spent a lot of money with new additions that were added, guys that you've drafted. Here Tyreek Stevenson, he had a penalty every preseason game. He had a big penalty again today. So these things have to be corrected moving forward for the Bears.
Yeah, looking to button things up, and especially when you take a look at the defense, a unit that showed so much promise. In this one, a little underachieving.
Yeah, well, you look at the whole defensive line. They're all free agents, right? The great signing was Yannick Ngakoue. He's their only sack, right, to my record. He had a big one. Then they gave up the 3rd and 10 right after he put him in 3rd and long right after that. But from Justin Jones, who's a free agent, DeMarcus Walker, who they signed, they've drafted 2 young defensive tackles behind him that I thought somewhat got pushed around. They're going to learn quickly. Don't get me wrong. I like both Dexter and I like Pickens as well. Those guys are going to have to learn. But, again, those are going to be growing pains because the Bears have elected to go young there, but these guys got to learn pretty quickly moving forward.